ain't the king of the temples too. Don't let them rise and make a fool of you. Let your soul feel whole and refuse to let them in. Let your light shine bright and learn to see again.
This is your place for all things Detroit Red Wings and all things Chicago Blackhawks. This is the Stick Blade Podcast with your hosts, Jordan Linscott, David Barnhouse, Nick LePage, and Tim Stompanato. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of the Stick Blade Podcast. This is your place for all things Detroit Red Wings and Chicago Blackhawks, as well as news around the NHL in general. I'm your host for tonight, Jordan Linscott. I'm joined by my co-hosts, Nick LePage and Tim Stompanato. David's not with us tonight. He's got other stuff going on, but we're still going to have a show. Obviously, the NHL playoffs are in full swing. We're going to talk about those a little bit later into the episode. But to start the episode for the Wings side of the podcast, we're going to be talking about, obviously, the tweet from Patrick Kane that really set Red Wings fandom all ablaze with all sorts of speculation. And in the words of the Backstreet Boys, Patrick Kane, quit playing games with my heart. It's so frustrating for Wings fans. And then also the fact that Derek Lalonde and Dylan Larkin are beginning to be playing and participating with Team USA for the IIHF World Championships this summer, since the Wings aren't in the postseason. And then we're going to also talk about the Blackhawks stuff. Nick and Tim, what is going on with the Hawks this week? Because you had a pretty monumental item happen in your guys' rebuild for the first time in several years.
Yeah, Jordan, thanks for bringing that up. On the Hawks side, we got Alex Vlasic signed his extension. We'll get into the details on that a little bit later. What it means for contracts looking like this offseason for the Hawks, for guys we got to re-sign and everything like that. We got some Hawks in the World Cup, and that's really it for us.
Yeah, I would say just it's not really news, but the fact that the Griffins and the Ice Hogs are still competing in the AHL playoffs, and that the Grand Rapids Griffins have taken a lead of 1-0 in the series.
So last week we started with the Wings. Let's go ahead and start with the Hawks this week, because you guys actually have real news to talk about, whereas the Wings are kind of just like maybe news.
This is news. This is the biggest news, Nick. This is, I think, thrilling news that you and I, going into this offseason, we knew Alex Vlasic was due an extension. And so then the question was, it's Kyle Davidson's first actual contract negotiation with a core member, not Kurashev, who they're trying to figure out, not free agencies overpaying to come here. This is a core member. What's he going to do? This is the chance to see what he's made of. And so Alex Vlasic signed a 6-year contract that'll run through 2029, the 2020-30 season, at $4.6 million per year. This is phenomenal, Nick.
No, it is an absolute steal for Alex Vlasic. Good for the Wilmette boy.
You'll love to see.
He mentioned right after the season was over, he's like, "This is home. This is where I want to be." So I really want to know. I mean, not that we'll ever know, but how much negotiation truly went down, because it seems like obviously he did the Hawks a favor. He could
100%.
He could have easily took him to the bank for a little bit more. But no, this is massive. Me and Tim were talking about it, kind of texting the chain a little bit during it, and it looks so much better with him being a top pair D-man, paired a lot alongside Seth Jones, because every Hawks fan in the world, as good as Jones was this year, still complains he doesn't deserve $9.5 million.
100%.
You break it down, you're paying Alex Vlasic 4.6, you're paying Seth Jones 9.5. On average, you're paying your top two defensemen $7 million a year. On average,
so bad.
Not bad at all. You can't get that in today's market.
No, that's fantastic. And again, every single analytics group that I follow on Twitter has been churning out, especially near the end of the season, their big surprises. And Alex Vlasic is consistently someone that they're constantly saying, hey, I know he wasn't technically a rookie this year, but this is his first real season in the NHL. He's got some of the toughest minutes in the league. He's playing consistent top 4 minutes, and he's one of the top 5 defensive defensemen in the league at 22. One of the things that I like about this contract is he's gonna be, and what's smart for Vlasic is he's gonna be 28, I think, when this contract is up. So we lock him up for 22 through 28, like phenomenal for us, but it still gives him room for his payday check.
Yeah, he could still break the bank with that. And I don't know if they want to, if that's going to be the plan, because I think this is setting a precedent with the Hawks. Like obviously, it's if you want to be here, if you see what's going on, what we have in the works, everybody has to pull on the same rope, and everybody needs a slice of the pie. Because I think the Bruins, when Pasternak started popping off when he was due for an extension, I think Bergeron mentioned he's like, if we want to be part of something special here, we all got to take a little bit off.
I think Nathan McKinnon said the same thing when he signed his, like, hey, I want to win. This does open up a different window for me, the question of the fact with the hard cap and how it does hurt the earning potential of players. But that's neither here nor there because we live in the salary cap world. Yeah. Alex Vlasic taking this deal sets the tone for every other core signing. I don't think it counts Bedard.
No.
But I think everyone outside of Bedard, including Korchinski, this sets the tone for what we're looking at for contracts now.
And I think of note too, to add on to that, I think when his expires now, I think Seth Jones is off the books as well.
Jones and Vlasic's contracts both expire at the same time. So that gives us, if we did want to give Vlasic his payday, like a 9.5 mil or something like that gets him through, Jones is off the books.
Yeah.
We could, and the cap will also be.
Yeah, there's no predicting where the cap could be because with TNT and ESPN picking up the NHL again, obviously that's old news. We've been on TNT and ESPN for the last 2 years, but still, it's going to increase the cap year after year. The cap's going to increase year after year. Contracts are going to be more inflated, so who knows where we're at in like 6 years.
What's so cool about not even this contract, but Vlasic in general, and I've talked about this a few times, rebuilds don't work unless you're hitting on picks outside your first round.
Yes.
You're counting on your first round pick to hit. That should be a given. If that doesn't hit, you've got a problem. Vlasic was a second rounder. And people at the time, I feel like all of us were pretty hyped about Vlasic, but there were a lot of people going, I don't know, he might have gone lower. Like, what are we going to do here? The fact that he is shaping up as a legitimate top pairing D-man, or at worst, a top 4 D-man, that is exactly what you need to get out of the rebuilding phase. That's something that Buffalo never did. That's something that Arizona never did. That's something that I think numerous clubs that have been, even the clubs that have high-end first-round talent, they're not hitting anywhere else.
Yeah.
This is how you move forward.
No, absolutely. I would even go to the extent of not even just first round, outside the lottery. Once you're outside the lottery, it's kind of a...
Yeah, I'll give that to you.
Yeah, I mean, but like you said, Tim, I think when, Vlasic, when we drafted him in the second round, what was it, 2019, 2018?
Yeah, because
the scouts were saying, like, obviously, Mark Edward Vlasic is his uncle, I think. And cousin. There we go. Sorry. Yes.
I got you.
Cousin. But like they were saying, he's going to be a project. They're drafting him on his size. And I mean, God, it could
6'6", 217. He's an animal.
And he skates like just a gazelle, I guess. I don't know. Gazelle.
Yeah, if a gazelle could skate, I assume it'd be majestic.
Something swiftly. But no, so what I'm looking at now is like, where does this leave us? I mean, I know the offseason is a while away, but like we have guys on the books to pay now.
Yeah. Because
like Lucas Reichel, I mean, I don't know.
You've got Reichel, you've got Entwistle, which I don't know. Entwistle, I really like in a bottom 6 role. That said, I don't know if he's done enough to stay there. Is he a consistent bottom 6 guy? Is he a really good Rockford mentor? Like, because you've got him. Reichel, I think you signed to a Hagel-esque deal, the 1.5 by 3 years or something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he doesn't deserve anything more.
I think there's still, I'm not out on Reichel yet because I keep going back to Teuvo Teravainen with it. But
no, absolutely.
But yeah, we've got Reichel, we've got Reese Johnson. Has he done enough to resign? I don't know. I think we'll lose Tenorti. I think we'll lose Megna, lose Zaitsev, which is awesome for potential D-men coming up. But yeah, a lot of questions now. There's nobody else outside of Reichel that is a major player to re-sign this offseason, I don't think.
That's kind of the thing about like hit this contract, right? Is
no, I
nobody
don't
else
think
on
so.
Is Nick on a bit of a delay?
Yeah, right there, Nick. Oh, okay.
We're rolling.
We'll roll with it. So, like, in my opinion, again, like looking from the outside in, Vlasic kind of sets the tone for all of your core pieces that are going to be due for negotiations up until Connor Bedard signs his next contract, right? Lucas Reichel, I like him, but there's no way he's going to get any more money than Vlasic's going to get.
Oh, God,
I like
no.
Kurashev. He's never going to get more than Vlasic's getting. Atwell seems like he's an all right player, but again, nobody on this team, aside from Connor Bedard, for the foreseeable future, is gonna get more money than Vlasic's got. He's kind of setting a benchmark for your contracts for the next 2 years.
Well, and it's so interesting because Korchinski, I think, got all the fanfare, and I'm somebody that is still a big Korchinski fan. He got a lot of the fanfare coming into the season. Vlasic was another piece coming up, and I think he not only stole the show, but it's a two-parter with the Vlasic Korchinski item. One, Vlasic set the tone for the contract, and I think Korchinski will have to play off of that. And two, it's a good example to remind people that you can't expect somebody to be drafted and come right into the league. Vlasic had 2 years at BU and a year in the AHL. That's 3 years from drafting and then into the league. That's year 4. That's what sometimes you have to do, but the wait is worth it when you get somebody like Vlasic who comes in ready to go, whereas a Korchinski coming in at 19, how you doing? You're playing against Sidney Crosby, defending him. Good luck. It's a reminder that these kids got to develop and cook for a while. Nicholas, are you back?
No, yeah, sorry. No, I'm back. Sorry.
I just wanted to make sure.
I had to play it safe. It was lagging for a second, so I just wanted to play it safe. But no, yeah, Tim, I mean, you made a great point just based off what's going on with Korchinski-wise, because he was at the point where he's too good for the CHL. You can't keep him there. And he obviously can't go to the AHL. So
because of the contract, agreements, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to go too off the ropes there as for contract-wise, but I agree that he does have to base it off Alex Vlasic. As for the rest of the offseason, there's plenty of time to talk about it, but just kind of a summary.
Yeah,
I think we do have to pay Taylor Radish. He's our RFA. That's going to be an interesting one.
I don't think we resign. I think we let him go.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think he's worth bringing back at this point. And then you're sitting and then Joey Anderson's an interesting one in what they're going to do, because I think they like him a lot, but they also have almost 36 million of cap space this offseason. So there's plenty of room to work with as to what we're going to do. And obviously UFAs are coming up soon. But I mean, all in all, kind of tying this all back together.
My God, is that Patrick Kane's music? Is that Patrick Kane with the steel chair?
We're talking about him soon, Jordan. Get ready.
But no, I agree.
That's it.
Joey Anderson's going to be definitely someone. I think Joey Anderson, they for sure resign. Oh, I know we're transitioning out of this, but like Joey Anderson, they resign. I don't think they resign Radish. Everyone else, I think they resign on very, very team-friendly Entwistle, Reese Johnson, where they could go back and forth between Rockford and Chicago and not be noticed. That's my prediction.
No, absolutely. And then one last thing on the Vlasic thing. It was going around on Twitter. There was this cool email that kind of got not leaked, but it was a classmate of his. And it was at BU, and he sent an email because he was in a group project, and he was like, "Hey guys, I can't be." They were like emailing about the project. He goes, "Hey guys, I won't be part of this group anymore. I'm going to go pursue hockey." And then you know, 5 years later, he's making 4.
It was such a professional email. It was so funny. Yeah, hey, can we all get together to coordinate? He's like, I'm so sorry, I won't be part of this group. I'm not a BU anymore.
I'm gonna go pursue hockey. I had to throw that in there because it was going around on Twitter this week.
It's so funny. It's so good.
I mean, Tim, Nick, what else is going on with the Hawks? Because you guys have a couple of players playing the IIHF this summer, right?
We do. We've got, what is it? Pete Mrazek is playing with Czechia. We've got Seth Jones and Vlasic for the U.S. We've got Connor Bedard for Canada, and we've got Philip Kurashev for Switzerland. So, like, that's pretty. Honestly, it's a cool consolation prize, I feel, for players that don't make the playoffs, that their countries would reach out to them. Because think about it. You know, Switzerland has a decent number of players that they could ask that are former NHLers, current NHLers. But to say, hey, Philip Kurashev, we actually think you deserve a spot on this team. That's a pretty big deal.
Absolutely, yeah.
I mean, I'm trying to think. You guys, who's obviously Peter Mrazek, like you said, playing for Czechia. The college season's all wrapped up for you guys.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't really on our docket, but just obviously now that we haven't talked about it really, but now that the college season's also done as well, do you guys have anybody from the college ranks that you're kind of looking at, you know, this off season going, maybe this kid's got something to bring to the Hawks club?
Nick,
I don't think at this point.
No, you're sure there's not? You don't think there's a number 91 who might be making the way over?
Wait. Are you talking Nazer?
Yeah, is he making the jump to the NHL?
Oh yeah, I'm so sorry.
Year?
He already signed with the Hawks, so like I've already got him penciled in to start next season.
I see what you're saying. Yeah,
I was like, I don't think so, man. Like, I think Moore needs another year. Rinzel blew me. Like, if you were asking me which college person stood out, like Rinzel, I thought had a great season, knowing he's a development project. But like, yeah, no, I've got Nazer already penciled in for the Hawks. I moved on from that. He's part of the future now.
As for everyone else, I think they all need another year to cook. Because typically the guys you want to bring on, you sign right after their season's over. Maybe there's a few, you know, outliers in there, but it hardly ever happens because once they commit to their college team during like when it's like prospect camp and they know they're just going to be there for prospect camp, it's hard to go back off that.
I definitely think Oliver Moore signs end of next season.
Mm-hmm. So he was kind of Kyle Davidson's guy, right? Like going into the draft this year.
100%. He was antsy. He was trying to get didn't think he was going to be there, but yeah, Oliver Moore I think signs after this season. Rinzel I think still has a little bit longer. Yeah, no, it's a great college. It was a great year for college hockey for the Hawks, frankly. Aiden Thompson at Denver, like, I don't know, very fun. But yeah, Nazer I think is the only college and Landon Slaggert. My apologies to him. But those are the two we signed. I don't think we're going to sign anyone else.
Okay. Do you guys have anything else to talk about for the Hawks side before you transfer over to the Wings?
I think that's it. You know, I mean, it's off season for us, for Hawks. There's not much news until free agency and draft time comes around the corner. We will be talking about the lottery, obviously, later in the show. So, Jordan, let's go over to the Wings.
Let's talk Wings.
So, yeah, we'll talk about the Wings. So
I'm getting hungry over here.
I want to start with the Derek Lalonde, Dylan Larkin news first. Dylan Larkin is going to be playing for Team USA at the IIHF World Championships this summer. And then Derek Lalonde is going to be in a coaching role for Team USA. Dylan Larkin every year has seemed to have always taken that chance to play when he can. Weirdly enough, I don't think Lucas Raymond is playing for Team Sweden, and understandably so. He's about to enter into arguably the biggest contract of his career. He doesn't want to get himself hurt. I fully understand not wanting to put yourself at risk for a tournament like that when you're about to ink a deal potentially worth, $70-80 million, respectively speaking. I understand you don't want to play risk with that, but I'm glad to see Dylan Larkin continuing to be willing to play on the world stage for his country. And I'm trying to think who made the playoff or who didn't make the playoffs that's going to get to fill a leadership role for Team USA, because a lot of the guys that normally are the captaincy for Team USA, they're not there this year. A lot of them made the playoffs.
My guess is it's going to be between Larkin and Seth Jones.
Yeah.
For Team USA, for a leader, I think both of them are guaranteed to wear letters. It's between those two for captaincy in my mind.
So, I mean, for me at least, I'd imagine Dylan Larkin's got to be wearing an A, right? Like the guy's played for Team USA every year since he's been drafted.
100%.
I think aside from Eichel, he was arguably the best center on team, or one of the top 3 centers for Team USA. The guy's a captain of an NHL club. I don't think it would be outlandish to say he wears an A for Team USA, or potentially the C if they want to put it on him. The guy's shown he's a difference maker. I mean, obviously the Red Wings this season, he really showed that, but I think that that's not unreasonable going into like this year at the IIHF.
No, I agree completely. Again, like I said, I think it's between him and Jones for the captaincy, and I think that
Absolutely.
Larkin gets a letter. 100% think he gets an A or the C.
But no, just that was kind of a cool piece of news. But the one piece of Wings news that we've got to talk about, and
we got to talk about it.
Patrick Kane, like I said, in the words of the Backstreet Boys, quit playing games with my heart here, okay?
I love that.
So Patrick Kane,
boy,
doing his best Steve Yzerman impression. I'm gonna read you the tweet verbatim, all right?
Please.
Patrick Kane sent out a tweet this week. Thank you, Red Wings, my teammates, coaches, and all the fans of Hockeytown for welcoming me and my family with open arms this season. This past year gave us memories we will never forget. Now, if you cut that tweet off right there, that reads like a normal goodbye tweet, right? Like, it was a great season. I'm going to move on, and that's it. But, of course, like any player entering free agency, he just had to add a tiny little sentence on the end. The work doesn't stop. Hashtag LGRW. I don't even know how to read this tweet.
Jordan, oh, go ahead.
No, Nick, go ahead, because you and I are going to say the same thing. I want to hear you first. I know the way I read it was, and I've seen a lot of cryptic Patrick Kane tweets because the man does not just say anything straightforward. He's always playing the game. But I've read a lot of Patrick Kane tweets, and I know Nick has too. This is a thank you for everything. Goodbye. The work doesn't stop. Hey, let's go Red Wings one more time as I fade into the sunset and go somewhere else. That's my thing.
That looks a lot similar to what
is that his goodbye to Chicago?
That was his goodbye to Chicago. Jordan, I hate to break it to you, man. He's gone.
Yeah, this is it.
Kane's not a tweeter. Like, he doesn't go on social media ever. When he does, it means something. I don't think you tweet that without knowing that it's goodbye. I think because I understand he puts the LGRW, time to work. I think he's talking about him. Like, it's time for him to get back to work.
I agree.
I just think I don't think Yzerman wants to meet him at term, and that's where you're going to lose him. I think he wants a permanent home instead of playing this hop around. And unfortunately, Jordan, you have to experience heartbreak as well.
Obviously, selfishly enough, I obviously would love to see Patrick Kane back with
no
the
doubt.
Wings. Just in a hypothetical, though, obviously Patrick Kane will be going to free agency. What do you guys think the contract looks like for him? Because obviously he's 35 years old, so he's getting up there now. And if he said he in his postseason press conference, he said he's looking for term with the club. So I'd imagine that means he's looking for somewhere around 3 to 5 years. and he specifically said, he wants to play till he's 40. So what do you guys think is realistically a contract for him this offseason? Is it maybe like a 3 to 5 year, $5-6 million contract? Is that what the asking price will be for him?
It's tough. It's tough. I think because I said this like 2 years ago. I think he's going to end up going the Yager route, where he plays a couple years on a team and then he's going to keep going doing 1-year contracts. Frankly, I think it's either going to be a 3-year 6.5 or it's going to be a 2-year 7.5. Is what I see for Kane somewhere.
Yeah, I think 6.5 is that perfect mark where you're not paying him like he was once being paid before, but you're still getting great output from him.
I mean, he was almost a point.
5 years, I think it's too much.
Agreed. And I think he knows that too. I think 3 years is the stable time. Like 3 years is term. And I think from there, that puts him, he's 35, I think he's going to do 1-year contracts after that. But because I think he'll play well into his 40s. I think he will be the next Yager. But I think a 3-year contract is his perfect sweet spot. And 6.5, he's almost a point per game a player at 35. Like, come on. He's still going to be in your top 6. He's not a player that that style of play that he does is going to wear down. It makes sense.
Well, that's the kind of the thing with Patrick Kane, right? Is he doesn't play like a big, heavy physical game where he's constantly crashing guys into the boards. Patrick Kane plays like a pure finesse skill game. He's trying to out-deke you. He's trying to out-skate you. He's trying to out-pass you. That's what Patrick Kane's trying to do to win.
And that's the kicker. It's not a physical game, and it's not necessarily a speed game, because your speed will also decrease as you get older, but he's shifty. Now that he's got that hip fixed, he's got the skill sets that he could play another 5, 6, 7 years without that game dropping off as much.
So, and for me at least, again, and obviously as a Wings fan getting to enjoy him this year, obviously I fully want him back. But
sure,
I do think it's kind of interesting because I'm looking at the rest of the NHL, and in some ways, I feel like Patrick Kane is going to set a bar for the rest of the league of a guy who is almost a point per game player. Whatever he demands, the league's kind of going to get warped by it, just based on how much name recognition he's got, the skill level he's bringing to a club, the hardware he's got. I do feel like he's going to set the bar for the rest of the forward pool for free agency this year.
It's going to be interesting. Go ahead, Nick.
I think opposite. I think he's going to be one of the last ones to sign.
Yeah?
I think he's going to wait out and see where teams are at again. I think he wants to win, but he also wants to wait for the right opportunity. And who knows where that may be. I don't know. He like I said, Jordan, he's a cryptic man. He's one of those guys that he's very to himself. He's very private. And in the end, he knows what he's going to end up doing.
I think it's just going to be interesting if Stamkos does actually go to free agency. It's going to be Patrick Kane and Steven Stamkos.
It'll be a bidding war, between
that's
Stamkos
a big that's a big free agency.
Yeah. So Jordan, I hate to say it, he's gone.
Oh yeah, no, he's gone. I would be shocked if he's on the Red Wings next year.
Yeah, that would be the most shocking team I think he signs with. Other than Utah. But
I think he's going to Utah. I think he's going to be the first Yeti or Storm or whatever they're calling them over there.
Utah Hockey Club. Jordan, when he speaks volumes. And, I know I said it and I don't want to sound like a broken record, but when he posts a goodbye tweet, he's saying thanks for the 1-year memories. Yeah. Which, ironically enough, I know he wasn't there long, but the Rangers didn't get shit from Patrick Kane.
Yeah, no, oh my God. I forget that he was on the Rangers, to be entirely
whatever. I'm out.
But no, those are the only pieces of Wings news really that I have to talk about. We're going to move on to the rest of the NHL in just a second. But first, we got to talk about our sponsor for tonight's show, and that's DraftKings Sportsbook. Obviously, the chase to the Stanley Cup is on. And if you're looking to light the lamp, nothing beats the action at DraftKings Sportsbook, which is an official sports betting partner of the NHL. obviously tonight, I think who is it? The Caps and the Rangers are playing Game 4 of their series.
Yes,
The Toronto Maple Leafs look like they're having a really bad meltdown. Just the playoffs are such an interesting beast, and you can get it on all the action at DraftKings and bet on stuff like, first goal, score line, goal saves, just everything like that. It's all on DraftKings, and you can bet on it. And obviously, with the playoff race is going, it is so much fun to watch the playoffs right now. But you can download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code THPN. New customers, you can bet $5 and get 200 in bonus bets instantly. Again, that's code THPN only on DraftKings. The crown is yours. If you have a game of the problem, you can call 1-800-GAMBLER or in West Virginia, visit www.1800gambler.net. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY, which is 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling by calling 888-789-77777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Bit Hill Casino and Resorts in Kansas. You have to be 21 plus, age varying by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario, but bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. See dkng.com/ice for eligibility and deposit restrictions, terms, and responsible gaming resources. Copyright NHL 2024, all rights reserved. So, fellas, let's talk about the playoffs for a second, because these playoffs might have some real shakeup for the NHL next year. And I don't know. I guess we can kind of talk about my favorite series going into it, the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Boston Bruins. Fellas, what is going on with Toronto? Like, that looks like a team about to crumble.
I had them moving on in my bracket. I said, surely this is the year. You've got a weaker Boston. And again, I've said this all year, but you can't rely on goaltending forever. Yes, Boston has the better goaltending and defense, but I thought for sure that this was the year, if it was going to happen, that the core would pull it out. And boys, they're a mess. They're falling apart. They're not in sync. Marner looks lost out there. Nylander's yelling at guys on the bench. Like, it's chaos.
Toronto's going to Toronto. You can't rely on them to beat Boston ever. It's just, it makes no sense. Like, this team on paper is like an all-star team. It's 100%. An all-star team on paper. And it just seems like when it comes to the playoffs, I don't know how to keep it clean. So I'm just going to say it. Their buttholes pucker, and they don't know how to play. They don't know how to play playoff hockey. And it blows my mind. They are the Washington Capitals before Ovi won a cup. This is what the Capitals were. Dominate the regular season and then just flame out when the lights get bright.
I will say my biggest thought on this whole thing, and I've said it before, they are a bunch of individually talented hockey players playing hockey, and they are not playing as a team. Give me the Carolina Hurricanes any day of the week over Toronto. 10 times out of 10, I'm going to pick Carolina because they play as a team. They've got that chemistry, that unit. They're tight. Toronto, I have never seen that. It's all looking for individuals to step in and save the day. And it's not a recipe for success.
Like, what was it? Was Nylander, was it last night, who was basically screaming at his teammate on the bench?
Yep.
Stop crying. Like,
yeah, as so bad. And that was the same clip where Marner is taking off his gloves and throwing him on the bench. And it's like, they're falling apart over there. Like, I love Austin Matthews. I'd want him on my team, but like, again, John Tavares clearly isn't the captain of captains that I think he's Captain Canada. I don't think so. But they've got no defense realistically. Samsonov has gotten cooked in the playoffs. Like, you can't rely on 4 forwards and Ryan Reeves. Like, David Kampf has looked good. Nick, our old Hawks buddy, David Kampf.
Our old friend.
But he's a fourth line center.
Yeah, he's a fourth liner. Like,
this team just makes no sense. And Jordan, you posed the question before the show.
You did.
It's like, what are they going to do? And I wanted to save it for the show because I wanted a natural reaction. But I think Tavares, nobody's taking him.
Nobody's taking that contract.
No, you got to wait for him to come off the books. But I think the answer is you trade Mitch Marner.
I agree.
And you build around Nylander and Matthews, because once Tavares is off the books, those are your two guys. Mitch Marner is just not meant to be in the playoffs with Toronto. He just can't do it. And he doesn't have that Showtime it factor where it's like lights get bright. He's the guy you want to rely on. He chickens out. And the prima donna BS that he was doing, throwing his gloves, showing how mentally weak he is. He takes a bunch of dumb penalties in the playoffs.
He's been a mess.
He's a mental. Never mind. I'm not going to finish that. But he's just mentally.
I'm proud of you for your growth.
Mentally not there. He's mentally not there for when it comes to the playoffs, and he just can't. He just can't do it.
I mean, shoot. Here's the thing: Phil Kessel never won a cup in Toronto, and then he got out of Toronto. Maybe trade Mitch Marner to Pittsburgh. I don't know. Have him play.
No, Pittsburgh deserves their time at the bottom, Tim.
I'm just thinking of Marner's best interests. Maybe get him to play with Crosby or Malkin. Malkin will yell at him. Malkin won't let him dip to the side. But yeah, Nick, I 100% agree with you. Trade Marner. Get whatever you can for. You're not going to get his actual value. So you have to identify what you need and get that for him. You don't re-sign Tavares. Yeah.
God, no. Not Tavares.
And you put that money towards defense.
Yeah, like let's say Toronto offloads Marner and they get actual defensive pieces. I think since we've been running this show, I've always said Toronto is they're a team that can run two lines, and then the bottom two forward lines are basically forced to be AHL caliber players because there's no money left to pay anybody.
You leave David Kampf and Ryan Reeves alone. They are doing their best.
But am I wrong though?
No, you're not wrong.
No, you're not wrong at all.
Third and fourth liners on Toronto, because I don't see them.
I mean, Domi and Bertuzzi are there, but I don't know.
But they're too busy playing physical because
nobody else
won't.
Yeah,
I mean, Cal Yarncroc is a good third line player. At least he was like 2 or 3 years ago. I like Nick Robertson. He's not a fourth. Right now, they've got him on the fourth line. He's not a fourth line player. I don't know if he's good enough for your top six, but I'm just going through here looking. And Matthews got pulled for being sick in the middle of a game.
He got pulled last night for being sick.
What? He's a coward too.
Okay, no, all jokes aside, I'm very much someone that's like, hey, maybe we learned from the pandemic. Maybe we shouldn't play when we're violently ill. But also, have you ever heard of someone leaving the playoffs because they weren't feeling well? I've never seen that.
No, I haven't heard that.
Yes, Steve Yzerman played the playoffs on broken legs.
Eric Carlson had a torn Achilles, and he brought them to the Eastern Conference Final.
And then you have all that mysterious stuff with Nylander too, his injury that nobody knew of.
They were saying something about migraines or something, which again, if you're getting migraines and you don't know why, that is a literally terrifying thing. I would understand that.
Okay, I get that, but
but it was weird.
It was just a mystery.
Yeah, it was a mystery. It was weird. You've already got so many things of Toronto, everyone looking at Toronto going, is this it? And then Nylander's out. None of it helps the narrative.
Yeah.
And once again, Boston again, you've got Marchand out there just let's go.
Marchand gonna marsh.
Marshy's gonna marsh. I love that about him.
It just goes to show, I know we always made fun of him, but you can't put 60% of your salary cap to your top 5 forwards.
You can't. Which is why the Vlasic contract is so important. But
yes.
But realistically, yeah, Toronto is a perfect example. And I think Edmonton tried to see that coming and avert it. But it's the same concern of if all of your money's loaded up in a couple of people, you're SOL.
Yeah, but Edmonton actually has some depth at their positions.
Well, and again, Toronto got rid of Zach Hyman and sent him to go play with McDavid. He's like, great. Are you kidding me? This is perfect. Like, this is what I've always wanted. It's such a Toronto is the most fascinating team to me because they've got so much money. They've got so much ability to bring people in, but like they can't do anything with it. And I don't know who that is. Do you fire Keefe? Do you fire the top brass? Do you fire the president? That like, I don't know. I don't know how you solve the issue that runs so deep in Toronto since even the Phil Kessel days.
All right, so it's going to be sacrilege, but
I'm so
you got to get rid of Brendan Shanahan, right? He inked all of these contracts and put them in this situation. Like, he literally made them the most cap.
Yeah, Dubas did that.
Yeah, but Shanahan is overlooking what Dubas is doing.
Oh, yeah, he's the president.
Like Dubas has already gone, and I don't know. Like, I mean, I know, again, I love Brendan Shanahan for his time as a wing, but objectively speaking, Shanahan didn't step in to stop this from happening either. So some of the onus has to go to him.
They always call it the Shanner plan.
Yeah, the Shanner plan.
And it ain't planning out.
Nothing.
Yeah, no, Toronto's a mess. They've got Mark Giordano. They've got Mark Giordano on that team this year. I totally forgot about that. I'm looking at
like a stupid cheap, like $1 million deal.
I'm looking at their roster right now, and I'm just angry. Like, you got Max Domi there for like you've got Bertuzzi, who's been, I think he's been pretty good. I don't know. One of them's going to be a Hawk next year.
So
Domi or Bertuzzi. I was gonna say, if you're saying Marner, I don't even want Marner.
I don't want Marner. Again, that's stupid because like he's 100-point player. Like he probably isn't the issue if he's not trying to drive the team. If he's there, it reminds me of when they asked Panarin if he wanted the captaincy, and he's like, "No, my job is to score goals. I know what I'm good at. I'm not the captain."
Yeah.
So I don't want to spend too long.
Yeah, we talked about Toronto too long.
But I
puke.
The one series of this playoffs that has brought my heart so much joy. I'm not a fan of the Rangers, but man, I have loved watching the Caps get absolutely smacked by them. We were talking about this before the show. Out of the teams that missed the playoffs, there were like 4 teams that were just on the cusp of making it. The goal differentials went like -2, -3, -3, and then the Washington Capitals -37.
They have no business.
This is so gratifying to watch as a Wings fan, seeing how this team got in on a technicality, even though they didn't win more games this year, and is getting absolutely slaughtered by New York. I mean, this is catharsis for me.
This is exactly to me what happened. Like when you think you get the first seed and you're hearing you're getting the 8th seed, this is exactly what I think is supposed to happen. Where you come into the playoffs and you get checks notes. Okay, cool. We're good. Like, let's go nuts here. Man, the Rangers have looked good. Lafreniere has looked like he's come into his own. Like it's as a Rangers fan, yeah, Capo's looked good. Vincent Trocheck looks like he's returned to form, like he's born for the playoffs. Like Panarin has been shaking the monkey off his back from the last couple playoffs. Like Shesterkin's been a dream. Again, I am a Hawks fan through and through. My number 1 team, my second team will always be the Rangers. This is an exciting year. Like they look good. They look better than last year. The Capitals just tied it up though. It's 2-2 in the second period, so we'll see how that goes. But they could get Washington could get swept tonight. They could be the only sweep of the series.
Like I said, I think it's gratifying watching it. Just from a Wings fan's perspective, how the Capitals got in. This is so gratifying.
You mean Torts pulling the goalie?
Yeah, like
the Capitals got in because of the Flyers, which is the wildest thing to say. That said, I think the most interesting series to me so far, not necessarily exciting, but most interesting series has been the Canucks Predator series.
Yeah,
Because
nice back and forth.
what did I say when we were going into the playoffs of, hey, you know what? I know the Canucks have been great. I know they had a massive dip, but that's because Thatcher Demko was injured and they figured out a way to continue winning even with their star goaltender out. And what happens? Thatcher Demko gets injured in that first or second game. He's out. He's not coming back. And they're still figuring out a way to persevere. That's the sign of a winning team. In the face of adversity, do we push forward or do we crumble? That's the difference between them and Toronto.
Yeah, and like the thing is, the Vancouver Canucks last year, they were a team that really had a down year last year.
Oh, a terrible year.
In the world of pro sports, it's so easy to look at a team, and they're the opposite of Toronto, right? They're a team that had a choke season and saw, no, we actually do have the pieces. This was a one-off, and they're having success after that one-off year. Whereas Toronto has consistently choked, and we're not going to talk about Toronto much longer, but Toronto has consistently choked and refuses to make those changes. That's kind of the difference between the Canucks and the Leafs.
Yeah, that's 100% it. Like really good teams, legitimately good teams find a way to win. The 2015 Blackhawks, I will always say, had no business winning the cup. That was not our best team. It was we carried 4 defensemen basically through those playoffs, but we figured out a way to win every single game. And that Toronto does not have that. The Canucks, they're figuring it out.
I mean, Nick, what's been your favorite series to watch so far in the playoffs?
My favorite series is this playoffs, honestly, is probably Dallas and Vegas. Dallas and Vegas have kind of been going back and forth as well. Vegas was up 2-0 to start the series in Dallas, and then Dallas came back and won a game on the road. So I think it's going to be tight to the end. I think Dallas is one of those teams that they are fit to give Vegas a run for their money. And I don't know. I think Colorado Winnipeg is very shocking. They're scoring on Connor Hellebuyck quite a bit. So it hasn't been like expecting this offseason. Or this postseason. I think it's a lot of it's been kind of surprising besides New York over Washington and maybe Carolina and the Islanders.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
But no, I mean, overall, I think it's been a good playoff so far. The Florida Panthers, though, man, watching them play against the Lightning, Tampa Bay, I don't want to say they're about to regress, but I do feel like they're trending that way. Like, I feel like they're not the juggernaut anymore. Like,
it was bound to happen though, right? Like Katie was literally asking me the other day, like, hey, do you think that Florida's going to sweep Tampa? And I was like, you know what? I don't think they're going to sweep because this team's too good to be swept. I do think that Florida's stars are all in their prime and Tampa stars are all mostly fading out of it. I don't think they win this series, but I don't think they get swept. And I stand by that. I think Tampa's on the way out.
It's interesting because the East is due for a realignment in terms of like the standings within the next 3 years, I would say. The Panthers are on the way up. The Red Wings seem like they're trending up. Ottawa is poised to make a breakout within the next 2 years, as is New Jersey.
Yeah.
Buffalo, gonna Buffalo.
God,
they'll be in next year. They'll be in.
I said that last year.
They got Lindy now.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, Lindy Ruff did come back
because he had a banner year with New Jersey. So that's your savior right there.
I mean, you look at Tampa. Sorry, guys, I'm trying to jump in whenever I possibly could. It's just so bad on my internet right now.
I'm so sorry.
You look at Tampa. You look at Tampa though, and it's like, yeah, they're flaming out, but they have like 3 extra seasons on their legs from all their deep playoff runs. And it's like,
yeah, that's fair.
They are talented. They could battle through a whole season, but like I don't think they're going to be legitimate cup contenders. You could bookmark this. This is probably going to come back and bite me in the ass next year, but I don't think Tampa is going to be legitimate cup contenders anymore. I think their time is up. I think they're going to be like the Detroit Red Wings of like the 2010s, where it's like, oh, we'll get in the playoffs, but after that, they'll flame out.
Good enough to make the playoffs, not good enough to make a run.
Gross. They're the Minnesota Wild. Oh, that's terrible.
But no, just like I said, playoffs have been fun this year. A lot of fun matchups and not a ton of really shockers, I would say. But just, I don't know. It's been kind of fun watching some of the mix-up in the playoffs that just you're kind of seeing a changing of who the dominant teams are over the past couple of years. And we're kind of watching an era of some juggernauts really just start to fade back, and others are starting to take their place. We're finally starting to see the circle of the salary cap era really take shape.
Yeah, you just got to love the parity of this league. Like, you could be an 8 seed unless you're on the East. It looks like if you're an 8 seed on the East, good night. But as for everything else, an 8 seed on the West, 8 seed, and so like any team can beat any team in any given series. Except if you're Toronto over Boston, you just never do that.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
But that's all I have for the night's show. If you guys are all right with closing out, do we have anything else to talk about?
The lottery announced May 7th.
Sorry, yes.
We'll talk about. It's just the announcement. We have one more show before the lottery actually concludes, but officially announced. So this week we could kind of sit on pins and needles and, hope the balls fall in our favor. The Red Wings have what, a 0.5% chance to
0.5% to just pick a number 5.
Hey, that's not nothing.
It's not nothing.
Can they not go up to 1 anymore?
No, the highest they can get is number 5.
Right. They can't jump to first.
Yeah. Which, I'll take a 5th overall pick, but at the same time, it would be deflating because the one year we actually win it, we can't get the 1st overall or 2nd overall.
I need to refresh on the news with the new CBA, because I know 15 used to be able to win the 1.
They used to be able to.
The max you can jump now is 10 spots.
Yep.
Okay, so the nightmare I had the other night where the Wings ended up landing Macklin celebrating in the center to go pair along with Larkin, and just can't happen. Okay, we're good.
That's not a nightmare. That is the universe correcting itself for how bad the Wings have been screwed by the lottery system.
To be fair, Jordan, you could get Caleb Lindstrom, which I'm still very, very high on. I know that there's been some talk. He's been moving down the draft boards a little bit. I think that's a mistake. I think whoever gets him is going to get a heck of a player.
It's the same thing as Michkov, though. Last year, everyone was like, well, what are you going to do with the kid? What are you going to do with the kid? Is he coming over?
And Philly's going to have a heck of a player when he comes over.
Yeah, it just sometimes you kind of got to gamble on the high-end players and hope that you get that product.
We're going to see that again with Demidov, I think, Nick. I think that he's going to fall a couple of places lower than he would have purely because of the Russia factor.
I don't know, because Michkov, I think the thing on Michkov was they thought there might have been an attitude problem there. Kind of like a big shot type of thing.
Okay.
Demidov, I haven't heard anything. I haven't heard anything negative yet. I think he goes top 3.
Okay. I love it.
But no, we'll talk about the lottery stuff more next week, because obviously we'll be a lot closer to it next week.
No doubt.
But that's going to be it for our show. As always, thank you everybody who tuned in and either watched or listened to the show. We really appreciate you guys checking in and checking the show out. If you have any sort of feedback or critique or anything like that for the show, feel free to reach out to us. We are all over the internet in terms of internet presence. Feel free to send us a message. We're more than likely going to see it. And again, thank you guys for checking the show out. For your host, Jordan Linscott, for my co-host, Tim Stompanato and Nick LePage. This has been another edition of the Stick Blade Podcast. We will catch you guys back all here next week. In the meantime, stay safe, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and we'll catch you back here next time. Take it easy.